Dale Giese farms in the irrigated zone of the Columbia River Basin. He grows potatoes, wheat, and vegetable seed using an intensive 2-year cropping system, and he relies on cover cropping with mustard to manage soil-borne diseases and to build soil organic matter.
We've been able to grow very good potatoes on an every other year rotation, and we've got some fields in that now 16 years. And they're part of a long-term study. Just like, well, nobody's done that before, and so far it appears that it's still effective, still economically acceptable for us, and we like what we see in the soil. I mean, it's changed the water holding capacities increased, the cation exchange capacities increase, along with the organic matter, and nematode levels are very acceptable for especially that type of rotation.
After wheat harvest, Dale plants a mustard crop and tills it in as a green manure and biofumigant before he plants his next potato crop.
So it was wheat, double crop mustard, back to potatoes, and then back to wheat, mustard. So they're in a 2-year rotation, which would be kind of considered a suicide rotation. And even with the fumigants, because the ground you would just destroy the structure.
Dale has found that cover cropping with mustard successfully suppresses soil-borne diseases and nematodes, replacing the need for chemical fumigation.
We didn't do this to solve to replace fumigant. We just said, we got to rebuild our soil, and if this will do it in conjunction with the fumigant, then that's a good deal. After, we did the 2 trials where we fumigated, we left strips and we could not see any difference. And then we go, but that's not real science. That's just a observation trial. So then we did several years of triple replicated trials, and they said, there is no difference in yield between your mustard and the ground with mustard and fumigant. Even in the worst case scenarios, we can get methyl bromide-like disease suppression and nematode suppression and not destroy the soil. If you're going to make biofumigation work rather than just green manure, you've got to have a good flail chopper to macerate the biomass, and you've got to work it in immediately, or you'll lose your volatile compounds to the atmosphere instead of sealing them in the soil, where they're going to have a lot better suppression activity than they will out in the neighbor's backyard.
Dale has taken several steps over the years to prevent erosion and increase the organic matter and water holding capacity of his soil. But he's found that mustard cover cropping has provided a major benefit.
Probably the biggest thing we can do is add carbon, add organic matter back to the soil, or at least maintain it, because the activities that we have, tillage, activities, reduce the level. The minimum tillage and stubble mulching got us so far, and that was kind of the initial steps. And then, as I said, we didn't like the long-term effects of the fumigation. We liked what it did for the disease, but we didn't realize then fully why it destroyed our structure. We started working with the green manures because we could also see that we weren't gaining any ground on our soil structure. Wind erosion, water penetration issues, and we weren't the only ones noticing that. But the chemicals were really hard because they're a little like chemotherapy on the soil. They got to take out the good and the bad. And, so looking back, we had done as far as we could go in stubble mulching, and that wasn't going to keep this thing sustainable, in my opinion. We've actually been able to measure significant, like a doubling of our organic matter levels, and better water penetration and reduced wind erosion. You don't really own the ground, you just get to use it during your lifetime. Other people need to survive off this, and so that you destroy it because it's an easier way for you to make a living, that's not really, that doesn't sit well. It doesn't sit well with most farmers. We like to leave it in better shape than when we started and pass along some information to others that might follow us how to keep it, I mean, sustainable. Things can change, the climate, the markets, regulation, so on, but, you can't, as I tell my sons, if you know everything I know, you're good for about 5 years. Because in this business, if you're standing still, you're going backwards. You might have it figured out for a short period of time, but you ain't good to go.